Hey there, I'm Eternal, and I'm an Object Show fan that has barely watched any Object Shows. We have to fix that. Let's play Object Catchup. Hello and welcome into Object Catchup. This is where we discuss Object Show episodes right after watching them. Whether they are new or old, famous or unknown, it doesn't matter. We will get to it all. Now, it is 95.5. You might be wondering what, how, why. Well, it ended up being pretty chill this Sunday, hanging out with friends. I got those, I should try to keep those friendships around. So, it ends up that I didn't get much done. However, I decided that since this show that I took a look at interested me a lot, I wanted to take it, a little bit of a mildly deeper dive because it had a website and discuss it. I'm talking about DAGFE or Drugs and Guns for Everyone, which is the show that I released yesterday to already like 25,000 views recording this section. Created by DelangoDraws and the very talented crew over there. So yeah, however, this was not the original plan for the episode, so maybe in the section talking about the episode, I might mention it as if it's a part of the video rather than just the video itself. So keep an eye out on it. Alright, so yeah, for the next section, it's gonna be me from the past discussing DAGFE. So yeah, let's. I wish the best of luck to past me, and let's hope I gave a good analysis now, did I? Because this show is very, very, very interesting. Okay, so that is DAGFE 1 or D&GFE, which I took a glimpse at the website and I took a look at a couple of the pages, did a quick skim through. So Didnt.GFE apparently stands for Drugs and Guns for Everyone. So this you can immediately tell that object shows as a whole are in very special territory when we arrive to this. Like, this is something, and you can just tell it's one of those things where it's like you don't like. It's very hard to point down what specifically about this just immediately goes like, oh, this is it. Right? But like something about it just hits, like it's one of those things where even though it's that combination, it's the combination, right? Like it has to be the combination because it's like when every single element you notice is super clean and super professional, you notice how just what you're looking at, because when you look at because like and it's really easy to pick it up in just a couple of minutes, and anybody does. That's how this stuff gets popular, right? Because like you just get immediately captivated because all it takes is 1 minute. All it takes is the 1 minute where you're looking at the stuff, or like, you're picking up all of the information, right? You're picking it up, going like, okay, it's stylized. That's cool, right? Backgrounds are very stylized. We end up having the characters. They're animated very well, but they also end up making sure that the show has a relatively unique art style with the eyes and everything. That's very good. And the mouths as well. They end up being a little bit more rounded than usual, I would say. So that's all very nice, right? You see voice acting, it's very very professionally done as well. You can hear like no fault in it at all, right? And it does truly work itself out. In terms of animation, everything's smooth. Camera angles, it from the beginning, it immediately punches in everything that, like, it doesn't hold back in any single category, right? And with writing, I mean, you can just see from the cold open, right, that like this is something with story, this is something that has backstory to it, because already by just starting with the detective thing and then having a clearly friend character in that detective space, right, and then heading into the house and that whole dynamic and the boss and everything, like you can tell there from the get-go that this is a show that has thought about its writing. So when you see that the animation is stellar, that the voice acting is stellar, that the writing is very well thought out at the minimum, right? And that it's managed to find itself its own style, it has ticked all of the boxes, right? And as it ticks all of the boxes, it manages to, truly feel special just from the get-go, right? So, yeah, and it's managed to do it without necessarily the biggest name. Like, I was looking at those credits, and I was like, how many of these people do I actually recognize from the other big shows? I mean, there's like, the people, like, there are people there, I saw Pickpill, I saw Whoop-Doo, I saw, the fellas that make the show about the freaking, what was it? The show about letters or something. Like Sparky or something. I'm sorry, I forgot. I didn't watch it. I'm very sorry. But like you can tell. Like there's a couple of fellas, right? There's Jacob Fairclough, right? But like in general, it doesn't necessarily need to utilize the highest, like the top of the top sources. But it still manages to, form itself a team with public audition and everything that just manages to still produce this quality with the style, and it just pulls off everything. Now, you might be wondering why I'm not talking this much about the episode. So here's the deal. The thing about it is that even though you can tell from this episode that something is brewing, something special is brewing, you can't quite point it down, because this episode looks to be relatively clearly not where this is going. In the sense where, like, I mean, it's a very introductory episode, and in general, it's a relatively safe episode, right? Like, not, for the disclaimer at the start, right, that it's intended for older audiences, there isn't actually anything here that would make this episode in particular only for an older audience, right? The only thing that technically is there is that they swear twice, right? They drop one F-bomb. Hey, one F-bomb, that's still PG-13 allowed. Remember, you get one F-bomb, right? So, like, in this episode, not too much, but you can tell from the title, and especially the website is what's giving you the information here, right? But, like, from this episode, you can't really clock itself too much, right? So let's still talk about it, okay? Because, there's still a lot to get to. So we start off here with the detective case. So apparently, this fella, Shifty, alright? That's a stick shift, the ones on the cards. I didn't quite clock this immediately, but yeah, you're a stick shift, for the gears. But you end up going over, and apparently you were lazy, basically, about the detective case that they have been struggling with, because they've apparently been lazy. We end up finding Rachel, which is a tennis racket. We don't get to know too much about them. Then we end up going over to the boss. It's called Bob. Interesting enough, the description for Bob is the shortest one. He's just like, he cares about work very much or something. This could just mean that the character is not interesting. However, I don't know. It feels like if they could have made a bigger description for a character, they would have. So, especially, with other characters like, freaking God, there was another one that had a really short description about them. It was, I think, one of the disco people, right? It was it was like Steve, for example. It's like kind of one of those things where it's like, it's so simplistic compared to the complexity of the website that it just feels like, yo, something's up. Like, something's up. We're trying to not spoiler. So I think I get what's happening here. But yeah, this show, like, in a way, the website is I will admit, the website is kind of spoilery, right? Because it does tell you what's going on in plot 1 and plot 2. There's 2 plots, right? Which, like, you couldn't even imagine the second plot from watching this episode, right? Like, you could not even think about it being there when you read it. It's like, okay. However, it's one of those things where, as a result of needing to audition, it has to pitch itself, right? Like, it needs to pitch itself. At the end of the day, it has to be like, hey, believe in our project, that way you can work for us. You can't act all mysterious when you're up and coming. If you want to get people to work for you, you're gonna need to convince them, and you convince them what with this story, right? So that's important. But either way, Shifty ends up getting fired after Bob lashes out at them for not doing anything about the murder case. They've done they proper done nothing for 6 months. I'm surprised that we even did that much, but it even took that long. Like, they literally didn't do anything. They got home and then they got fired. So we end up having their roommate, which I forgot the name of. What is your name? Your name, Paphos. Okay, do we even get to hear the name in the episode? But anyway, you're called Paphos. And they're like the roommate. They're being like, hey, look, I understand you, but you still gotta pay the bills sometimes, and lately I've had to pay the bills, so you're gonna kind of need to sort yourself out, otherwise, I need money. So, I see, that's fair enough. Now that I think about it, I feel like, hold on, wait, okay, here's the deal, I don't own a house. Okay, I don't own a house. However, if Paphos were to kick out Shifty, how would that help his situation? Because he still has to pay the part of the rent, right? Like, he just has to pay the full rent. Unless his idea was just swap out who he's sharing the rent with. Like, yo, want to chill? Like, is that the idea? I don't know how to, how do people, let's see, I am older audiences because I am the later teens, but I'm not quite locked into this stuff, right? But this is just a me problem, right? So they end up trying to find the fellas, and they end up calling over Calvin with the phone. This is a cool shot. Just, it is surprisingly complex to have a shot of a hand reaching out forward. So that, just that shot is already like, whoa, that's a whoa shot. Anyways, Meta having the split screen between Shifty and Calvin. So Calvin, we discover via the website that they are the main figure of plot number 2. However, since plot number 2 doesn't exist yet, we're like, let's say that, let's put that on pause. Let's not do that. Let's go with this fella. Let's just continue on with the episode. So they lost their job, and I was like, yo, Calvin, you got like 1 million jobs. Could you help me out, bro? And it's like, yo, okay, I mean, I don't know, just go get a job. And it's like, okay, we have like a board here with a bunch of possible jobs, so, then again, okay, yo, you gotta drive me over there. Can you do that? And Calvin goes like, yo, fine, I'll order something and then I'll deliver it to you and then I'll bring you back here. But then I can't bring you back over. So they end up agreeing with it. They end up getting a pizza with like apple slices on it. Calvin is a little bit of a trolling. Luckily enough, it manages that both a stick shift and a freaking like hairbrush happen to both be really thin things, so they do fit into the motorbike, so they managed to get by. We end up having the title card with some cool music usage. Is the music original? I don't know. That I don't know. That I didn't see information. I mean, I don't know if I didn't see any OSTs. Like, I mean, I guess I wasn't paying that much attention. Okay, I don't know. I don't recognize any of the music. Okay, let's go with that. But either way, there is some emphasis on the music, but you see, like, in general, it doesn't need that much. It has to play itself by the booklet, of like being relatively, that music shouldn't take up everything, right? It's not a musical, but from time to time you gotta kind of let it shine at a transition, at a deep moment, and it's like important. And it's like, yeah, absolutely, you need to make the music a rarity that's cool rather than just a thing. They end up getting over, and as they go over to work, they end up signing up to be a guild star. So they end up somehow under an extremely honestly, I don't know how, but somehow he apparently BS'd, totally BS'd the resume. that called himself, yo, what's good? I'm Disco. I did Lakewood College radio, and I am a gamer. And then somehow he got the job. I mean, it would seem to be a pretty competitive field, but fair enough. Sometimes you BS and you get it. And then we end up over to this bottle fella that's, I don't think that fire that's on their asset, you're called Milo, I don't remember that asset that's, I don't think that fire is just burning all the time. I mean, maybe? But it's not moving, so I'm going to presume that that's just an aesthetic decision. But it ends up being like, yo, I need to do this, and you were like an actor, singer guy, so you were like on stage, so like, maybe I can, get good. So, they proceed to go like, alright, mate, look, you're not exactly looking too good, so, I can't necessarily get you to be better. However, I can get you to be somebody else because I'm a voice actor. So that's the plan. By the way, hold on. Wait. I'm a bit confused. When did this guy get hired? So, I mean, by the time of this interaction, did this guy get hired already? Because it's like, yo, they want me to be a radio host. Because it's like, hold on. Because it's like, this guy is Disco, right? It turns into Disco, they end up turning into the cosplay as a disco ball, right? That was the decision that was made, by Milo. However, if you're cosplaying as a disco ball and you already signed up, then that means that, you wouldn't have signed up as Disco Roshan Shifty because you didn't know yet. So, presumably by this time, he just went up to Milo and was like, yo, give me a makeover so I can apply to this job that I'm probably not getting. That's the line that makes sense. We end up having the lore that this red jacket is apparently the one that has their show, that had their last show in it. The one where they apparently lost an eye, according to the website. Website moment. And they proceed to get a full makeover, and they're now looking fresh as hell. I do think that maybe the money, the money, the money bag fucking collar might be a little bit overkill, but overall, they definitely managed to make the guy look better. They end up being like, yo, up the pitch, lower the accent, and then you're locked in. So they proceed to, go over to now the broadcast station where we end up getting introduced by the radio. Yes, radio is managing the radio. That would, yeah, you know what? I gotta admit, that would make sense. Their antenna moves around when they talk. That's like the coolest thing I've ever seen. But yeah, she's called Minnie apparently. So she's having a little bit of a conversation about him, about what's going on. And we end up having him, just kind of awkwardly stumble by. This seems to be the general idea. He's kind of gonna stumble by everything. He's gonna be mildly awkward, and he's gonna probably get led, right? That's kind of the idea, He's very much, because, like, Shifty, I guess, is kind of this socially awkward person. So heading into this position, right, as like radio, as into like this field, right? Because at the end of the day, what is this story about? This story is about the field. Drugs and guns are going to be everywhere. Shit's about to go down, right? You can tell from what Mike is up to eventually, right? That, like, this is going to be what's going to happen. So what is going to happen? Like, it's probably going to be something like, like, in general, when you have to do a high risk thing, right? Like host a radio show. At the end of the day, that's a high risk thing. You're risking public embarrassment for life if you fuck up, right? So, like, you need to clutch the fuck up, right? So how do you do that? You need to, like, at the end of the day, just find a way to do it, especially when you're socially awkward. So you don't want to fuck up anything. So how do you do it? Then you can see it get portrayed here with Disco interacting, right, especially with these radio people and then with Mike, right, is that they're kind of are constantly the back foot, right, because that's what you do when you're entering a position where you don't know what is needed from you, but you really don't want to fuck up. You play on the back foot, right, like you play the situation on the back foot, which means that you kind of have to, that you kind of sit back and wait for the people to talk to you, right? Like, for example, when this friggin' tape recorder guy ends up coming in, right, and does like the fist bump, Pablo, ends up being like, yo, what's up, dude, and then goes like the fist bump, high five thing, right? Like, you see, there is no dictating the play going on here from Disco, right? He is entirely just waiting for the next move of Pablo, whether he's going to talk, whether he's going to go for another handshake, maybe, right? Any of that stuff, right? Because he doesn't know what's okay, right? And this is the type of thing that seems like a suitable strategy. However, it makes you a target for manipulation, because as soon as anybody notices, right, that there's a problem, right? As soon as anybody notices that you are playing on the back foot, they can lead you in, because like, why would you play on the back foot if it isn't because you don't know, right? And if it's because you don't know, then they trust who does know, right? They trust the people currently in the pitch, currently in the situation, right, to properly, dictate the play, because they don't know themselves, right? So that's, for example, what Mike's gonna end up doing, right? This is like the important stuff, right? Because we end up having Mike coming in, and Disco is like, hey, what's good, should I get help from you and stuff, right? They end up like they just answer the questions. They barely ever ask questions, right? And like eventually they go like, hey, want to go out for dinner after this, and they go like, yeah, sure, right? Because it's like, it's awkward. However, you're playing on the back foot, which means you have to listen. This is what they do, according to Mike, right? This is what you're supposed to do. You can't just be necessarily decided because you don't know if your decision is wrong. So end up doing that. However, this is gonna lead to the manipulation, right? Because we end up having this Mike is gonna go like, hey, want to go to the party, right? And then they're gonna go to the party because, like, this is the correct thing to do, right? You need to do that, right? Because Mike said so, like, that is the entire reason. But Disco doesn't know better. For Disco, Mike is a higher authority figure, which means that what they say goes, right? So we're gonna probably end up going to the party, and then what is gonna happen at the party? It's at that moment, I don't know. Well, of course, because the episode hasn't happened yet. However, the presumption is that this is probably where the stuff comes in, right? Because it is kind of roughly famously known, that at the end of the day, all of these entertainment fields and superstars and stuff, is kind of a lot of secret stuff that they're doing. They're doing some drugs for sure, right? Like, they're doing some drugs down there when they're having a party, right? All of these celebrity superstars, like, always a little bit, right? It's but like, they're doing that stuff, right? And eventually what's probably going to happen is they're going to be probably, swayed into drinking. They're probably going to be swayed into all of this stuff, right? Because it's just the correct thing to do. It's what happens when you play on the back foot too much, right? And I'm getting no vibes that Disco is going to know when to stop, right? Disco is absolutely going to go in, going to be drinking, going to be doing all that bullshit, and then it's just going to be a problem, right? It's not going to go down well, this party. This party is going to cause them to get a problem. Okay, so you want my plot prediction? My plot prediction is that, okay, Disco goes to this party, proceeds to get drunk or something. I don't know, but he will do something because they will tell him to. They'll see everybody else drinking. They'll drink a lot, right, or whatever. Okay, and then he might do some drugs. The drugs might be a plot 2 thing because the plot 2, I kind of read it, but either way, drugs everywhere. Remember, everywhere. So both plots of drugs, right? Let's do that. So they're kind of so they're gonna probably be swayed into it, and then the drugs are addictive, right? So then it's kind of like, yo, they start enjoying a little bit too much, right? So then you start enjoying a little bit too much, and then what's gonna be happening is that like they're gonna really want to get into the thick of it, right? So it's like, hey, I got, like, they're gonna sort of chase as well. They're gonna become front foot follower, right? Because right now they're a back foot whatever, because this goes like, is in the back foot whatever. It's like, for example, if Mike starts a conversation with Disco, they're gonna they're on the back foot, which means that if they didn't do that, Disco wouldn't do anything, right? However, in this situation, is like, if Disco proceeds, however, after something like that would happen, right? After, you kind of want to keep moving in that direction, you pick yourself up, you go on the front foot, however, you go on the front foot as a follower, where you're actively asking Mike, hey, what should we do? Instead of having Mike come to you going like, hey, you should do this, you would start going up to Mike and being like, hey, Mike, what are we going to do? For example, right? So that's where I think that this is going, and then eventually with that lifestyle, you're gonna start chasing. Whoever's starting to chase will take up more of your time, and as you're taking up more of your time, that means that there's gonna be less time left for something like Shifty, right? So they're probably gonna spend less time in the house, and Paphos might get worried, then there's other people, right? And then like that, in general, there just starts to be problems around that. I don't know if the murder case itself will actually be relevant. Probably not, but like in general, I think that's where this plot is going. Anyways, this plot feels like this guy's gonna get into the thick of it, get into the game, gonna get addicted to the game, gonna start playing the game, following, and then Mike's gonna realize that everything's about to go, that like he can do anything, that like Disco is gonna be codependent, and then with that codependence he can do whatever, right? And he starts liking it because, like, at the end of the day, Mike spots it immediately. Mike is a news presenter. Do you don't think Mike noticed how unbelievably awkward the interaction with Disco proceeds to be, right? Like, they end up being extremely awkward. However, you can tell, because that means that there is no dictating the play, especially if they talk with an old radio host that was apparently too close off to himself. He was the one calling all the shots, right? So you don't think that Mike would notice when he goes from radio presenter that calls all the shots to radio presenter that doesn't call shots at all, right? Like, you will notice, and Mike notices the fuck out, right? Then like proceeds to starts to ask the question. That's why you asked to go to dinner. You wouldn't ask a super famous guy that looks like they're super busy and it looks like they know what they're doing to go to dinner, because they're like, no, I'm busy, I got a meeting at 8 p.m. and then I gotta talk to the potato and then I gotta go do drugs, right? Like, no, you talking to Disco because Disco very obviously doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, and yeah, this is what the prediction is. Now, I would okay, here's the deal. I would enjoy that story for sure. Like, it would be a relatively refreshing story to see, in general. These are topics and these are situations that, especially in an object show, are just not a thing. Like, it just does not exist. I mean, like, there's like one or two things that are, on the more serious end, but even then, like, even shows such as One, which I've not watched, but like, in general, even shows such as One and those more serious things, it's like, yeah, but like, it's a different setting, so in general, it ends up that would be good. It does feel mildly predictable, however, because I just predicted it. But like, maybe, I don't know, maybe my prediction is unique, but it feels like it's the most obvious way to where it would go, right? However, again, sometimes the story that you expect still makes a good story, and maybe we're gonna get thrown some curveballs in there, maybe we're gonna discover more about the character, we're gonna discover more lore, we're gonna discover more anything, like, at the end of the day, what I've kind of based off is the most basic groundwork of how the story would go, right? But overall, yeah, I talked about this episode for, I think too long now, but like, yeah, this is something special, and this is something that This is something that will happen, you know. Do we trust this show to make it far? Maybe. It's kind of one of those things. Apparently, it's planned for 20 episodes, or 18 to 20 episodes is roughly where it's planned. But yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's, even though, like, I don't know, it didn't take that long for this episode to release. Right? I mean, technically, okay, it took them more than 3 months. But they didn't even have voice actors yet, so to be fair, it's like, is it that much of a problem? You know, like, it's kind of, we would need to see, you know, we would need to see, we would need to discover, but so far, it's like, it's looking like the show can probably get itself done in a reasonable pace. This feels like the type of show where, like, it's so TV show-esque to where I would probably recommend it to try to do release schedule. Like, I feel like that'd be important. Like every 3 months or something, there was an episode of this, right? And they like maybe stalled it out or something like that would be interesting. However, like, it's kind of difficult. I don't know. It's complicated, because again, this show is in like such a different territory to where it's kind of difficult to really give it too much to say, you know, give it too much to do. It's just complicated, you know. It's just a different situation. Like, at the end of the day, that is how it goes. But yeah, I don't really have too much else to say about it. But like, it is something. I'm hoping for the best. I think that, look, all I'm saying is that I don't know what is gonna happen to this show, you know, but I'm hoping it doesn't necessarily. I hope it doesn't arrive in like production problems and stuff, because like I think that I would be very sad if it did, dude. Because like this show, if this show fails, that would be so sad. That would be the saddest fail in terms of like just it could have been. That would have been the highest potential throw I've ever seen, I think, in an audio show ever. So I'm really hoping it literally cannot set itself up better for success than it currently is. So we're hoping for the best. Also, one last thing, I'm pretty sure the Meet the Team page in the website, that's not everybody. There's more people there. There's people. There are way people missing. Like, what? But either way, other than that, yeah, that is DAGFE. Good luck to it. Really good luck. I wish it the best. Because there's a certain spark about it, you know. It could be the next radio star. Next thing. Okay, I decided that I wanted to take an adventure at the DAGFE website here on video, because I decided, well, look, it's weird that an object show has a website, and you know, in previous situations, there object shows have had a website, like Lost, for example. We have done this type of screen recording, just checking it out. And even though, you know, I mentioned a lot of the things from the website here, we can have ourselves, you know, a little scroll by and properly take a look at it. So this is the main page, where there's not too much actually going on in this page. You're gonna be 100%. But here we get the About. So here the About is where you get a lot of the code open that I mentioned. So Drugs and Guns for Everyone, as you can see, is the title of the series. It apparently takes place in the 1970s. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know about the Handsome Devil personally, so I don't specifically get exactly what this means. I don't know if that's the name. It was inspired by music from the band The Handsome Devil. It's interesting. A show is inspired by music. That'd be pretty rare, right? Because I mean, of course, music's a relatively quick story, so inspiring a show from it, that's really interesting. I might have to go look at the band, I guess. But yeah, here we have plot 1, Two-Faced. So we end up having ourselves, where is the image? There is supposed to be an image here. What is it? Where did it go? What happened to it? What? There's just a black screen. Okay, yeah, there was an image here in the past. But oh well. Okay, well, whatever. It was great art. I wanted to see it again. Goddamn. Okay, well, as you can see, Shifty, investigator for the city, is not very good at his job. He's broke out after holding onto a high-profile murder case. things finally come crumbling down. They lose their job, can't make money for the overdue rent, and is stuck with life. They find out about an opening at the radio station and decides to audition. This we see. Shifty is convinced that his real self is too boring and awkward to ever succeed, so he creates a whole new persona called Disco. So that's fair. Everything he isn't, except for the awkward part. Surprisingly, they get the job. Yeah, very surprisingly. Don't know how that happened. I'm not gonna lie, I hope we get a short that's about like the audition, the person that was the casting call people that were like, yo, Disco's the one, because I don't know what we're on about. But that way, Disco meets Mike, which, yes, you can click the page. A news anchor who lives off of attention and fame. Yep, Mike is constantly chasing higher ratings and bigger connections, and he pulls Disco into that world with him as Disco learns how to navigate life. Behind the scenes world of celebrities. Yep, indeed. Shift has juggle two lives, one that feels empty for one that feels exciting, addictive, but way harder to control. Yeah, this is a lot of where I got kind of my theory from what was gonna happen, right? Because like you can see, you're gonna be going over into navigating life, right? You're gonna be famous, you're gonna need protection, but then you're gonna go behind the scenes in the world of celebrities, right? Celebrities, they like to party, they like to go crazy, too crazy, because they have the money to be crazy, right? So it ends up being exciting, but at the same time, it's addictive. You want that rush, whether it's of drugs or of directly, just kind of the vibe of fame, right? So yeah, the plot focuses on identity, performance, greed, and what happens when pretending to be someone else starts to feel easier than being yourself. Yep, this is it's definitely interesting, because like it does seem like the plot, seems to be heavily ideate around these two lines. Like, of course, my theory focuses on how exactly this happens, right? Like you end up being led astray by Mike. However, it does seem like the main plot line definitely seems to revolve around this main ideology, right? That Shifty ends up being super into that lifestyle, keep wanting more from it, right? So starts chasing, stuff within that lifestyle. However, that starts to consume more and more time. And then you start losing the time that you had for your original life where you're not Disco, and that starts to be a big problem, right? So that's kind of, that navigation. Then, of course, start identity. If you start liking, then you start liking being Disco more than you start liking being Shifty, and then, you kind of end up having identity, and then it's going to be a problem. But, like, it's definitely interesting. It's definitely interesting. I can see how this is a very captivating little idea. It really is. It's a very captivating little idea. Plot 2, A Slice of Heaven. So this is the plot I don't talk about, but I guess we can have a little bit of a discussion here while we're at it. So I guess spoiler alert for plot 2. The second plot is about the Brush Bros, Calvin and Bristles. So, Calvin, a 17-year-old high school dropout, working 3 jobs to keep a roof over their head. We know about this because the brothers were kicked out by their mother, Candace. He pays the rent, buys the food, and holds everything together while trying not to lose it. He's angry, exhausted, and constantly on edge. Yes, you can kind of tell. What he really wants is a normal life, and a kind of semblance of peace. Bristles is the older brother, and the reason why things are so bad. He's a gang leader and a drug dealer who lives in the same apartment but does absolutely nothing to help. No rent, no support, not even a single chore. He's crabbing like it's a job to clean up the mess, and that resentment has been building up for years. This is interesting. I was kind of debating when I was trying to guess the plot, right? Because I was kind of like, drugs should definitely be involved in the plot, but I mean, this is very obviously, right, like a drug dealer, right? So, because, like, I'm trying to think of the title. Like, what does the title mean? Right? Drugs and guns for everyone. So, like, the fact that it's drugs and guns makes me start thinking plots, right? So, like, plot 1 and 2. So, maybe it's drugs, because, like, you are going to do drugs, and then it's guns, because you're a gang leader. However, this says drug dealer, so maybe it's the other way around. Maybe you do drugs, but then in this plot there's guns. Doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. I mean, like, Mike might pull out a gun at random, but it doesn't really seem like the best idea, right? Like, again, maybe this title just doesn't matter, like, in general, titles for shows don't really matter that much. Even the biggest shows in the world, like, regular shows just go regulars, it doesn't make a lot of sense, right? but like they don't seem to be necessarily something that matters too much. The title, however, it's interesting to think about it like as if like this is like each plot focuses on one of these two elements specifically. However, it's looking like it's probably an intertwinement. Home doesn't feel safe. It feels awfully suffocating. Cabin begins to look at any way to cope, anything that makes the days quieter. Then Gale appears. Gale's not a character we've seen. Familiar, feels comforting, like somebody who actually understands Calvin's going through, and he had to just be stronger. But the more Calvin leans on Gale, the harder it becomes to tell what's helping and what's hurting. Gale is always there. This plot talks about abuse, mental health, dependency, and the slow, terrifying, and achy feeling of losing control when the thing keeping you together might be also tearing you apart. Another, of course, very interesting cold open, right? Because you can immediately picture it in your mind, right? You start feeling, because like, when you're constantly, when the anxiety is constantly there, when you're constantly stressed out, right? And then you're going to need to imagine, right? He's going to be constantly stressed out, and then he's going to see them, right? However, it ends up that it starts to become a problem because, like, you're going to be able to directly see it. Like, they're always anxious, but then, they have this calming presence here in the form of Gale, right? And this calming presence is going to be cute. However, eventually you start noticing how, like, as soon as they're not there, it starts to become a big problem for Calvin, right? They end up becoming, codependent, right? Which is another plot that I did point out here on Disco, but, like, yeah, it seems like, again, it's interesting. It's kind of, I feel like the parallel, I don't know if the parallel is necessarily going to be is on accident or not, but I feel like it's there's a very interesting possibility, right? Where, like, it's interesting, like, the parallels about how something like, the act of codependency can be both in a professional space and also in a personal space, like, it's kind of interesting, right? How that would be the case, how that would be portrayed as a potential plot element, right? Because, like, here, you end up having Disco probably, gonna be codependent on Mike, in my opinion, to get into the space, to start understanding it, right? Then Mike is gonna start using this to manipulate it. But in the meantime, in this case, we're gonna have codependency in the different way, where, like, Calvin ends up just kind of allowing themselves, opening themselves up as just somebody who's, is forcefully constantly shut down and just has to work, starts to open up and then becomes codependent as they start enjoying the act of opening up and all that stuff, right? And then it becomes a problem because, Gale has to always be there for him to feel normal, right? So it's another very excellent little plot idea. I didn't discuss it much in the episode because I didn't want to go too far off script, but, like, this is still it's still an excellent concept. I just try to not talk about it too much for, the spoiler alert of the matter. Then we end up having some info about the city. I don't think a lot of this info is that relevant. But it takes place in August 1974, when it's a popular city full of rich history, where a number of dreamers moving to Guildsborough chase a better life, or get picked up by the industry, not everyone can make it. Most citizens are start working in office jobs, retail, or have to hustle to make a living. Like any city with a high population, there are areas of poverty. I'm presuming that this is, meaning that like, this is probably referring to the gangs that, of course, exist as a plot too. The outskirts of Guildsborough, where the celebrities, business owners, and trust fund babies reside. Most of the wealth is from old money. The largest communities are the celebrities. There we go. The chances of making it are low, so if you make it, you're the best of the best or lucky. So, yeah. Population 200,000. Birthplace of robot industrialization. Home many successful people and hub for celebs. Let's go, Los Angeles. Other location, Gilstar. This is the radio station. Owner by Minnie. Yep. Employees 20. Founded in 1952. Longest running radio station. They apparently have news now because of the 1970s. Originally opened and founded by Regan Soprano. Do we know who this is? We might probably. The huge building hosts many rooms and studio for Didnt television shows. Back in the 60s, GoStar had many residents, but now only has 3. GoStar Radio, GBTV, and GoStar News. Occasionally, empty studios are rented out to companies for filming short term. The crew is tight-knit. When your employee gets top-tier pay, there are rarely vacancies due to this. Yeah, I mean, this is interesting because it was a little bit of like a little debate that was there, when I started seeing the news presenter. I was like, hold on. Is this a radio show? How is there a news presenter in a radio show? But, I mean, they exist, but, like, in general, they're kind of different categories. But, no, yeah, they have a TV station. So, we now know. All right, we now know that the news presenter is that fella. world building. So this is just in general stuff that got pointed out, like there is the classic question, how the hell do object show kids work? A lot of the time we end up kind of having a general rundown of, hey, they just do it. But like here it ends up being, the offspring ends up being a sort of combination of the category. So it's a dental electronic cleaning, like dental electronic product. So it's like the toothbrush. We end up having gasoline container, so it's an automotive, and martini, which is a driving impairment. So then you end up making a stick shift, so it's an automotive driving impairment. So it's a stick shift. So that's presumably this is where I guess Sticky ends up arriving from. No, sorry, Shifty. Newspaper, megaphone, and the making microphone. So yeah. It's sort of into objects, documented human ages, those go similar cycle. So yeah, the body starts to deteriorate. Presumably, this is not a world where recovery. I mean, that makes sense. Creating new life. All objects which undergo, no matter the genders, this process called manifesting, transport of each other's soul into a physical being. Object process caused by an excess of love. So apparently, if you just love somebody that much, the love will yeet itself out, and then it'll kind of magic sci-fi way. Okay, and create a new soul. So okay, it can be created from untrue love. So if you just want to, I guess. Biological objects are objects that are not robotic and have existed on Earth since the beginning of time. So yeah, these are just objects that aren't. Use box paper casing is they have skin, they have blood. Objects warm to the touch, similar to human, they were to regulate their temperature. They have bones. They need to sleep. Injuries can disfigure an object permanently. I guess like the bottle, right? Robotic objects, of course, they can be fixed. Most electronic objects are robots. They send the robot biology of cyborgs, and after electronic as well. They have metal arms. This is presumably, what people like microphone, and majority of those fellas in the radio show tends to be honest. They kind of have deadly consequences. Yeah, this is all lore. It's very interesting lore, right? But it's not necessarily the most important. We're having history for robots as well, right? Like this is like I mean I don't currently expect it to be important, but if you wanna give it a read, I absolutely recommend. I'm not gonna chat about it too much because I don't have too much to add to it. But like yeah. We have culture, so how the hell are the names even worked? They will be called by the name of their object if they are not named, because they can get a name, so that's fair enough. They're taking from them over. Gender is usually assigned by the parents at birth, so they can choose. You apparently don't. Yeah, so basically being trans is not necessarily a problem because it's just a thing. They're more feminine. Someone giving themselves eyelashes, but it's entirely done by makeup. So, alright, eyelashes are fake. Religion. This is probably important in like episode 7 million. Their main god is believed to be the sun that's constantly watching their every move. Followers believe the overlord of the underworld. What? Oh, it's the moon. So the moon is evil. Okay. Wait, the moon is evil. wait a minute. What? The moon is evil. What? Okay, there's believed to be eternal life after death. Of the high heavens. The high heavens are referred to the super heavens, bro. There's the super hells. Okay, bro. Alright. The other word super is rarely used by followers out of mention of these places. They consider blasphemous to use that side of the word. Okay. Super nice. This is it's a little goofy, but yeah, I mean that's interesting. Full moons means that you stay indoor. Yeah, this is something that's important. Someday. This feels like an important thing. And here, by the way, we've got a very detailed description of a drug. I have a feeling it might be important later. Is a drug that can create a hallucinatory threat? No, this is of course gonna be super important. I mean, okay, this is the type of thing where it's like, I mean, you cannot have a page this long on this one random drug, right? That it doesn't mean that's just for something that's not relevant, right? Like, if you're thinking this much about this means that this is important, right? It's commonly used by the upper class. It is a profitable choice for drug dealers. Yep. Okay, there we go. So, like, it ends up like, yes, this is a thing. I would probably, okay, to be 100% honest, right? This stuff like this, okay, I feel like the website, it's nice to have the information. However, at the same time, you don't want to spoil it, right? A lot of ways, you have to page your show for audition and everything. But this doesn't need to be there. To be 100%, this does not need to be there yet. After episode 2 or 3, we start discovering this, and then we get the information added onto the website. That's fair. But this does not need to be here yet. This, in my opinion, is just a little bit of a spoiler about what is gonna happen, right? In the sense, not necessarily it's gonna happen, but like it's gonna be a thing. Are they gonna use this drug? I don't know, but are they gonna sell this drug? Probably, right? Like we're gonna do this, freaking Disco's about to do these drugs and it's about to be over. It's not gonna be great. They'll end up having they'll end up having a friend. So friends talk about they have a complete they'll invent a friend. Okay, cool. Withdrawals into suicidal ideation, increased anxiety, extreme mood swings, fatigue. Reference needs to be a pharmaceutical drug. They're thought to aid patient struggling with mental health as a friend, whatever, be a never constant companion. That's fair. However, it doesn't seem to be a great idea. So it's a thing that's shut down, however, still exists. So yeah. Those willing to play up, often celebrities, take it as a fun, recreational party drug. What do you think is happening at that party? What do you think? I mean, we're getting the answer on a silver platter. It's this. There's nothing else. Come on, bro. It's a fun recreational party drug that celebrities use. He's going to a party with celebrities. Disco is taking this drug in episode 2. There's no way he's not, But you see, this is the type of information where it's we wouldn't know any of us if it is. And at the end, I wouldn't be less excited about it, if it wasn't here. In my opinion, I would say bin it. I would say bin it for future. I would personally say, this is a thing, of course, the info's here now. However, in my opinion, I would just go get rid of it, keep it a spoiler, and then have it for other moments. This image just disappeared. Yeah, it's just not here. There's art. Wait, hold on. Art by Plant Gardemania. Plot 1 poster. Art by question mark. So this is... Wait, is there something in this art? Hold on. Now, this is on purpose. God damn it. Do I have to go check? I have to go check, don't I? Hold on. Give me 1 quick second. Just cause I'm gonna do this, okay? Cause you never know if a black square is a black square, or if a black square is secretly the most important thing you ever seen. But I'm gonna pull up an audio editor, okay? And I'm gonna turn up the brightness of this. Is there anything? Are we looking at anything here in this image? It's not looking like it. It's not looking like it. Alright, it's looking like it's just a black screen. Alright, no ARG here. So, cast. Alright, so we have ourselves here, the full cast. So, we got ourselves baseline info. So this is Shifty, Stick Shift Fernandez. So, yeah, we end up jobless, ex-detective, gender fluid, any pronoun. Yep. They want to be the best defender, but come out over as a competent and actually be competent. They prefer to improvise and put under pressure. Fair enough. Generally seen as untrustworthy and others in the city. They don't have many friends, not because of their reputation, because they don't actively seek out building a friend. Because they're emotionally unavailable. Damn. Yeah, fair enough. They're like, I guess that's why they're a detective. They're like, I guess, sort of sneaky. Yeah, they're like a little bit sneaky. They can play an act, which you can tell by Disco, right? So Disco, you're apparently a disco ball on a stick. They bear the same resemblance to Shifty, but Shifty shiny makeup. They're quite literally everything Shifty isn't. This goes by being social inept, happy-go-lucky, and loves their life. They have no background in journalism or radio hosting whatsoever. Yep, wait. I guess you don't need journal. Because I thought the journalism degree was honest. Wait, did he actually... No, because I was like, to be a detective, I feel like majoring in journalism might be a good idea. But I guess I don't know. To be a detective, what do you need to major in? I have no idea. Now that I think about it, I don't know. That is crazy. Okay. Yeah, no, I have no idea. But like, because I thought that was honest. Because I thought they didn't have a lie, but apparently it's not honest. So okay, every part of their life is fabricated and have a time juggling all the lies they've told others, but try to make it work. Being Disco allows for Shifty to openly accept themselves without hateful eyes watching. The adoring fans, attention, and money are almost like a drug to them. Haha. Disco is an act Shifty hopes to never have to draw. By the way, shout out to these images. I don't know a color key. I don't know what that is, but yeah. Oh, are these here? I did not know. I like trivia. Just that episode. That this is not a trivia. Background art. There is no background art. What do you mean? Co-worker, they're semi-cautious around Mike because of his huge personality. Disco is not used to it. Yep. Steve, they get along pretty well. Okay. Pablo, Disco appreciates how good Pablo is at the job. Boss, very friendly. Disco looks up to her a ton. Vivian. Who is Vivian? Wait a minute. Oh, you. Oh, yeah, we haven't seen you yet. Sorry, Milo. Milo's the one who got them into the situation to begin with. They owe him everything. That's fair. So, that's what's going on in Disco. You know, I guess that's the character we get to know the most about, right? There you go, of course, Michael Rafford. They are the most important. They're you know, I guess one of the more important fellas. They believe every interaction is an opportunity to elevate himself. Most relationships he has with others are strictly transactional. He's very self-centered and charming. He knows just what to say to keep his image polished. Mike Sean wants to form genuine connections with people beyond his pursuit with fame. He does have a soft spot for Disco, though. So you see, this is what I mean, right? Like a Mike, you know, doing something like offering out to go to dinner with somebody like Disco, like, again, that is very obviously taking advantage of what is somebody who is nervous, and you know, you can tell that you can kind of dictate the play around them. Yeah, this is what you're doing. You know, invite them out to dinner, invite them out to the party. This is just what it makes sense. You know, because then you can control it from there, right? So yeah. Relations, business partner, and cool friend with Mike sucks up to her all the time, so his many mistakes are forgiven. Mike bullies her constantly. He thinks Vivian likes him, but he is surely wrong. Steve, I see Steve one of the loyal fans. Might believe both Steve and Pablo are fans of him, despite Pablo's obvious hatred for him. This is actually trivia. Only child in a two-parent household, like due to his love of attention. Okay, bro. Mike easily finds himself jealous of other people's success. Mike is a cyborg. Mike wasn't born with the chest plate. He's a normal bike. Yep. Mike originally dreamed of being a singer. In his late teens, he wrote music. His lyrics are not always great, but his voice an undeniable talent. He threw himself into getting noticed. He found out cassettes downtown in the hope of a record label taking seriously. Nothing came of it. Appears in these fellas. Okay. That is Mike. We know about Mike. We have ourselves Bristles. So Bristles, we don't get to see Bristles in this episode. Bristles is not quite here. However, they're an electric troop push. So I guess that was the example earlier. I guess that about what makes Bristles. They're the leader of a gang. Gil's boarding a drug dealer, well known around the city for being a criminal, always in and out of jail. They have few friends beside the members of his gang. Keeps to himself and refuses to let people in, and as they've proven their loyalty to him multiple times. They're extremely street smart and book smart, having nearly been at top of the class every year. Times is very obvious to others, almost as if he's hiding it. Yeah, you gotta be pretty smart at the end of the day. To be not too much information, of course, here yet, because you know it's not quite the knowledge isn't quite there. Younger brother, they're extremely expressing, certainly expressing disinterest in what he does. Bristles really cares about Calvin and his safety, but he's very reluctant to show his affection. Ella, who the hell is Ella? Oh. Okay, fair enough. I did not know about you. Then just gang member and best friend for life. Okay, fair. Wait a minute. The Ella page opens Gretel. Huh? Wait a minute. Hold on. The Gretel page opens Gretel. Okay, Ella just doesn't exist. All right, boys. Sounds good. Sounds like good stuff. Then here we go. Calvin. Calvin may seem chill, laid back, and he's going beyond. He's frustrated with his life. He's upset about his world, his side of society, feeling like someone else's plaything, constantly being ruined over and over and over again. Graduated out of high school and currently works 3 different jobs: pizza delivery driver, barista, and grocery store cashier. Relieves him unavailable most of the day and with very little break time. Out of curiosity, he wouldn't be the barista at the party, right? No way. Calvin is always available to listen to other struggles. It's easy for him to sympathize with others, but hard for him to talk about his own issues as he's afraid of being a burden to others. Fair enough. Color key. Originally shifty friends, they went to school together, constantly held back for low grades, and much older than everyone else in their class. Calvin was Shifty's only cheerleader, which eventually led to Shifty getting their life together, maintaining good grades, skipping ahead, and finally graduating. Bristol's older brother, though Calvin holds some brotherly affection for Bristol's, he harbors more resentment due to various reasons, because of the gangster lifestyle. And Gail, very, very close friends. Gail was, you were Gail, yeah, very, 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 very close friend. Calvin single around to take care of the rent. We know about this. Calvin named after his father, Calvin Sr., a famous filmmaker. Rip. Calvin's dad used to call him Booker because Calvin liked to read. And Calvin is a cyborg. Appears in episode. Yo, what is it? Yo, what is it? Yo, hold on. What is this? What? I found this in a box. My things. I found this in a box. My things from the move. Okay. The way this book was. What? I don't usually write in journals. I prefer the feel of writing on loose leaf more than writing atop stacks of pages, but it might as well get some use out of this. The way this book was bound is weird, but it's rather cheap and flimsy. The thread is pulling up and splitting. I could just fix it myself. Dad taught me how to sew forever ago. Tristan has the sewing tools in his room. I don't know, pass them right now. Hold on. This, I didn't see this. What is this? I was the one who found him. She put the notebook on the kitchen counter. Mom bought me this notebook after. Okay. So I wouldn't bother her with them. Ever since I've already been too open. I was the one who found him. I don't write that sentence often because I can't get ideas when I do. This house is too quiet. Oh, is this Dad? Oh, yeah. Wait. Is it? Hold on. I think, yeah. That's what happens. Yeah. This is the idea. I felt static shooting up my lips. Eventually I became so uncomfortable, so I took it as a sign to get up. I won't describe it. Yeah, okay. That is... Well, I was not expecting that this is the read. That this is what this journal has. Oh my god, bro. Sometimes when somebody's quiet, that quiet, I feel like I made a... Damn, bro. What is this? Yo, that's crazy. Yo, like... You see why I don't do live reaction? I wasn't supposed to do the live react. I was supposed to kind of know what I was getting into. What is this? Journalism keeps thoughts from rotting inside my head. What? I'm writing it so it stays here. Wow. Okay. Alright. I'm nearly getting convinced to write a journal. Sometimes I feel like my head is a room in my apartment I don't live in. What is this? Hold on a minute. No, I'm sorry. This is about to be the longest video of all time. When customers talk, their words float past my face instead of landing. I nod because that's what a person is supposed to do when noise points at them. I don't feel tired the way most people describe it. It's like my body's tired for me. I catch my reflection in a glass door sometimes and it startles me. Not because it looks on, because it looks finished. I don't see myself as a complete person. When I blink and it blinks back, perfectly synced, I don't recognize myself much. Bro. It is obvious. This is crazy. I remember being a kid and feeling my thoughts were sitting one step behind my eyes. Teacher would say my name and I need a second to realize they meant me, not this body. I thought that was just how growing up... Dude, this is quote after quote. These are insane. Bro, this took more time to write than the show, man. What is this? When I speak, the words come out wrong. When I walk, it takes a second to register the impact of my feet hitting the concrete. Sometimes I press my fingers into my arm hard enough to leave marks just to check if I'm still attached to it. What? Are you... Wait a minute. Are you, like, actually injured? Is this, like, a real thing as well, though? Because you are an electric trooper. You're, like, a cyborg, right? So that's, like, a thing, maybe? Yo. Yo, that's crazy. Okay. I'm sorry. I have to do this. Some days I think about Matus. He had a lot of medals. I don't know who Matus is. He had track ones. Gold and silver, never bronze. He used to tie into his backpack. They would bang together. Matador was autonomy on the desk. People joke about his name. Pretended to hate it, but you could tell he liked being known for something. We're in close friends, but we talked. He sat near me. Borrowed pencils. Once he leaned over and said my hoodie looked cool. Did I wear that hoodie every day? I didn't realize it was a crush at first. I only figured it out when I started rehearsing conversations in my head. When I started paying attention to where he was in the room, the day everything went bad wasn't special. And that's the worst part for me. Huh? I just lunch, too loud to many people. I already felt like I was standing a step to the left of my own body. It was a foreboding. Someone made a joke and I laughed too hard. Then I said something stupid. I don't want to write the exact words because they still feel sticky in my mouth, but it was about him. Something about how easy everything must be for him. I tried to make it sound playful. It came out bitter. There was a long pause. Not long. Just enough. I'm sorry. I'm just reading. I know. Look, whatever. This is 0.5. The shit's off the cards, okay? Meadows looked at me, surprised, just caught off guard. Then he laughed, a real laugh. The kind that felt cruel. Someone else laughed too. My brain tried to get over it, but my body couldn't. I could feel my face go hot red. I stared at my tray and tried to swallow my throat. I didn't say anything. After that, rather awkward and everything shifted, not in a dramatic way. Just small things. I told myself it was no big deal. That people say dumb things all the time. I kept trying to figure out what I should have done instead. Like, what if I'd stayed quiet? What if I smiled differently? You know, like to recover better. And I got to realize, is it better to be forgettable than to be embarrassing? Sometimes I wonder if he remembers me. Sometimes I hope he doesn't. I still think about him more than I should. Not because I want him back, but because that was the first time I realized how badly I wanted to be seen by somebody else. Yo, what the fuck is this? Oh my god. Okay. Yo, what is this about? I'm trying to like speedrun forming opinions. Okay, whoa. Okay, because like here's the deal. Usually when I watch an episode of a show, right, like throughout the episode I get to kind of form the idea of it. So that way when I'm talking, kind of like I've got a rough idea. But here, you know, like I'm being put on the spot. Okay, that's interesting. I mean, did they not apologize? I mean, like, they just tried to do nothing. But I mean, you gotta apologize, right? Like, what if I'd stayed quiet? I mean, like, I guess, but like, you know, you could start. You could do an apology. Like, go talk to them the other day. You know, they didn't say that. They apparently did it. That's interesting. That the spelling mistakes are really interesting. The day where everything went went bad. Oh no, wait. Oh, everyone went back. What? No, because this looks like a C. Sorry, this is bad. Yeah, I read it correctly the first time and then I fucked up. No, because there's I think there is a spelling mistake or two, right? I mean, I found this in a box. My things from the move, but like, anyways, okay, whatever. I went to the lake today because I had 30 minutes and nowhere else to put them. The water was calm. I skipped the rock and it sank immediately. I like that, no drama. The air smelled clean. For a minute I forgot what my body needed from me. Dude, what is happening? This guy is going insane. This guy is going insane. I'm sorry. What in the world? I mean, like, I know, like, electric toothbrushes and stuff, I know they like glitch out when they're running out of battery. And I guess they're warm if they're plugged in, I guess. I always wondered if people come here to feel something or to feel less. When my break ended, the lake didn't care. She continued doing what she usually did. I think that's why I'll come back. I felt like I was watching myself sit there instead of actually sitting. Like an out-of-body experience. Bro, you're apparently always out of body. Okay. That's crazy. Okay. Sorry for the lack of entries recently. You're apologizing to the journal? I crashed a scooter. It was one of the old ones with the cracked mirror. I've only been working at Force Lines of having a few weeks. I didn't know which roads dipped. I was thinking too hard. I usually am when things go wrong. The road tipped without warning. Gravel slid. Sound came first, a nasty scrape. I had to understand that my body landed before I could even gather my thoughts or what had just happened. I walked the thunker on the concrete. My arm was also bent wrong. Thank God it wasn't torn open, just misaligned. Metal doesn't bleed, it bends, but it sure did feel like I was about to start gushing blood. I sat on the ground and counted clouds. Cars passed, one slowed, then kept going. I don't hold that against them. but sure did wish someone cared. Oh, god damn it. I heard a story of a lady that was being attacked in the street, and it was seen by at least 100 people, because everybody thought somebody else had already done so. Yeah. That story haunts me. I always wonder what I would do in a similar situation. Would I call the police, or would I just be a bystander hoping someone else would? I don't know. I would hope I do the right thing. Edna found me. I don't know who that. She didn't raise her voice, didn't ask what I'd done. She knelt beside me in the gravel. Well, sugar, that don't look comfortable. Okay. She brought me inside, sat me down. I told her I couldn't afford the hospital. She nodded once, no judgment, said she'd wait and get my arm welded as soon as possible, and assured me the damage to the company property wasn't too much. She's presumably like the store manager. Thank God I couldn't take a cut for my check this week. I got bills to pay. I started crying. How humiliating. I didn't notice it handed me a napkin. Didn't make me feel bad about it. I go pull off deliveries until my arm could be welded back together. Can you see right in the design? I don't think you can. Hold on. Okay. Well, whatever. Could you see the arm welding? I probably not. I was still useful. Bristles didn't really say anything when I came back home. Didn't ask how bad it was. Just said I should have been more careful, as if care was something I'd misplaced instead of something I ration off every single day. I don't think he understands how close I came to losing my footing completely, not just dying. I could have genuinely disfigured myself or bowed my head so hard I wasn't myself anymore. I don't know how many times the world would let me hit it this hard and still get back up. Bro. That day, at least someone was there to help me off the pavement. That's all I'm at. Yo. Yo, that's crazy. Again, this is the type of thing where it's like, I feel like I don't need this information right now. You know, I feel like it would be interesting if it was drip fed, but it is drip feeding it, right? Because there's a coming soon here. But like, I feel like it's not quite necessary, especially because plot 2 isn't even the plot that we're doing. I mean, it's really interesting. I just think that, like, I don't know. Like, what the hell? Man, some of this is crazy. This is, by the way, a really interesting thing. This is a really interesting thing. If you see something bad happening, you know, you have to kind of be that heroic figure, you know, that actually does something about it, right? And yeah, that is true. In a lot of cases, you know, you presume that if you're not the first person there, that the first person there would do it. If the first person there doesn't do it, then you have a big problem, right? So yeah, it's interesting. So it's like the kind of the first few people to ever see it need to be the ones to do it, because everybody else that walks past assumes that the first person dealt with it. So if the first person just so happens to unluckily not deal with it, it ends up being a big problem. But it's really interesting. Cameron gets out of my head, so he's gonna write it out down. The way Mom and Tristan talking about my dad always bothered me. Tristan always said what he did was cowardly. Mom complained he wanted an easy way out. I remember the family gathered whenever it was brought up. Nobody else would argue with them. Nobody would stand up for him. They would just nod and change the subject. I think about him more when I'm tired. When the days start blurring together, what if he was having a way sleep will never fix. My soul claw. Oh my god. I wonder if he felt that way too. I don't think he was brave for what he did, but I also don't think he was weak either. I think he was exhausted in a way that doesn't show on the outside. Sometimes I understanding him in flashes, not agreeing, just recognizing the shape of the thought, and that scares me. Coward, selfish, unforgivable. Don't want to be remembered like that, so I keep going. Not because I'm convinced things will get better, just because I don't have the energy to disappear and leave that kind of mess behind. But maybe that's cowardly too. I wish someone had asked my dad what he needed before it got quiet. Oh. Okay. I see. Whoa. That's crazy. They wanted an easy way out. Yeah, they're blaming it. They're blaming it for suicide. Oh my god. What? Dude. What is this? Yeah, they're blaming him. And then he, who feels such a heavy burden and out of body, and as if he's not in control and constantly stressed, and if life's bad and his brother's a drug dealer, starts being like, hey, I don't wanna say that I think the same, but I understand what he thought. Oh my god. That's crazy. Okay, let me keep moving. Hold on. Entry 7. I don't like it when people shorten my name, to things like Cal or Vinny. It makes me feel like they don't really respect me or take me seriously. I don't know how to tell anyone how much it bothers me because it probably just sounds like I'm complaining. I don't even know I have the right to feel that way because my name doesn't feel like it's my name. My dad was Calvin Torres Sr. Everyone knows that name. He was a famous director, so when I introduce myself, people tend to freak out and immediately ask about him. Being named after feels complicated. I'm not proud of it, but I don't hate it. It feels like I can carry a huge weight, like I have to be just like him, or end up even more successful, just so I'm not always standing in the shadow. I don't want to be him. I don't want people to look at me and expect anything just because of who my father was. Just because I wonder if the junior is supposed to be in continuation, like if I'm the sequel or the echo. Proof that something important didn't end when he did, and that I'm supposed to carry his flame or something like that. I don't know. I just want my name to be enough. Yeah, this is a thing. This is a thing. That's true. That this is, that is a thing that does happen with people when they end up being named junior. This is a thing in a bunch of countries. This is a thing a lot in like, not necessarily that much like these countries, like the more Western countries, but I feel like in more third world countries, like I feel this is a thing that those cultures tend to do a lot themselves after the parent. I know that like definitely in Brazil, because I know about Brazil. In Brazil, they tend to do that, naming junior a lot. Yeah, this is a thing. So I'm being asked about it. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, and then you end up, of course, because if you have a similar name to one, you end up having because like you end up being shortened because it's like, yeah, oh god. Because you end up having shortened it because like it makes me feel like they don't respect me. Yeah, this is a thing because it's like they end up being like, oh, your dad is the one, so to differentiate, your dad gets the name and you get the abbreviation of the name because you're the less relevant one. You're the one that we don't mean to talk to as much, right? You're the one that doesn't get the respect of getting the full name, so that way we don't end up taking the easy way out. Dude, yeah, this is a thing. Look, I'm not gonna get into specifics, but this is relatable to me. Oh god, that's true. Oh no. Okay, and then coming soon in 10 days. All right, countdown. Wait a minute. Wait, no, the time. Wait, the time is going up. Wait a minute. How? Wait. Huh? What is this reverse countdown clock? I'm sorry. Okay, the entry is releasing in never because the counter is going up. Huh? Oh wait, now I want to see if it's gonna go down to 55 or to 54 or to 53. Now I need to know. God damn, anyone just want to sit here for 20 seconds? But yeah, no, the last entry again. I can't get into it because personal details. But yeah, no, that entry related to me. Well, okay, let's see what is going on. Is it gonna go 53? No, it's going 55. The time is going in reverse. Okay, cool. All right. Well, a couple of bugs are part for the course. Out of curiosity, let's see. Are they dumb? If I just write P008. Okay, no, it doesn't work. All right, fair enough. Dude, what the hell? I just spent so much time reading that. That is insane. Alias now this looks weird. Okay. Fair. Wow. I nearly didn't spot this, bro. Okay. Well. All right. There's a lot of characters. We're gonna do this quickly. Okay, those are very close. Yeah, these, as you can tell, like these are kind of shortened. My presumption is that that these proceed to be super simplistic, and then eventually when we get to see this character in an episode, we're gonna get kind of evolved, because there's no way that Gale isn't an extremely important character, right? They're literally the main character of the arc cover, and like they're the main antagonist. They're not like an antagonist, but they're like the second most important character, or at least the most important character to the main character, right? So like it feels like it feels an important stuff. Gale's a very kind of coquette, so it's kind of goofy, commonly jokes to make him feel better whenever he's feeling down, and Gale's the only kind of open ups to trivia. Nothing. Yeah, you see, like this is all kept shut very tight because we don't need it yet, and I'm perfectly down with this. 17 years old. 17 years old. Wait a minute. How old? Oh, wait a minute. Give me a moment. How How old are you? I thought you. No, you're 17 as well. Oh, I'm confused. Wait, I thought, because, like, wait, how? Oh, yeah, because you got held back by a couple years, so you're 22. Okay, yeah, and Mike's like 25. That's fair. What's up? Paphos. Yes, Paphos. Species Shapeling. Whatever. Paphos keeps himself. Most people think he's just quiet, but there's more going on behind his eyes than most realize. He's smart, sharp, and cynical. While he sees the cracks, he's a jokester when he wants to be, but his tense and biting humor, the kind that makes you laugh nervously because you're not sure if he's joking or not. Paphos has a close connection with Shifty. Cares in ways he refuses to admit. He's not to sacrifice his own comfort for him to be there. Paphos is private and he's quiet witness. He's an observer who makes people feel who makes people feel everything without ever demanding attention himself. So, very smart, sort of distant player who doesn't talk too much about himself. He just allows people to talk, and since he allows people to talk, he gets a lot of information. Okay. That's interesting. This guy is important, I think. I gotta say it. Like, at the end of the day, Paphos is gonna be the most clearly present person to Shifty, right? When they're getting out disco. So as soon as Shifty's gonna start showing up less, gonna start doing like, it's gonna start like kind of Shifty. As soon as Shifty's gonna start not wanting to be Shifty, you're clocking it immediately. So, like, it's gonna go down. They went to college together, extremely close. Yep, Rachel co-workers. Shifty and Paphos are very close friends. They were living together for about a year. Currently works at the same police station Shifty did. He works in drug investigations. Oh my fucking god. Oh, shit's about to go down. Oh no. Oh, that's a crazy quote. Shit's about to go mega down. Holy fuck. Okay. Okay, Paphos. I see you, Paphos. Vivian, we don't get to hear. So I know that she appears in a short, by the way, but she's apparently the co-anchor. She's a sweetheart, very conflict avoidant. She constantly deals with Mike, and doesn't like him that much. She was originally the main news anchor, but her dream position was taken over by someone less competent. Fair. Fair. Yeah, we have the voice actor because, of course, they appeared in the one short. This co-worker, Mike, enemies. Basically told Mike everything he knows and he doesn't give her any credit. My boss. Highest GPA for journalism. Offered a job at Guildstar immediately. Broke the cycle for her family. He's the highest earning employee at Guildstar, becoming a co-anchor. Meaning pays her more to get her to stage. She were left the moment Mike took over. Okay. Used tomato, obviously. Viv is 1/3 robot, meaning her mother was a cyborg. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, we don't get to know too much about this character, but it's interesting. That's cool. I like this rope. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Of course, you'd be able to see it in the short, which I didn't see. But that's it. Wait, February 13th. Wait a minute, that was like 2 days ago. Okay, fair enough. Happy birthday, Vivian. Bob, stern and serious. He takes his job very seriously. Wait, February 18th. Why are all these birthdays in February? Hold on, give me a minute. Are all these birthdays in February? No, you just don't have a birthday. Okay, Gail. Wait, when is your birthday? November 2nd. Okay, so they're not all just in February. Alright, I was thinking for a moment. I was like, wait a minute. You have trivia. Bob worked at the city for 15 years. Lead investigator for the city's most popular cases in the 60s. That's 10 years ago. Bob only has one arm. Okay. Their relationship with one another is not very friendly. Okay, fair enough. There's not much exactly going on here. I mean, this is so little that, like, is this guy either about to become extremely important or not? I don't know. I mean, maybe you're teaming with Paphos or something. Milo, beer bottle. So you're the fella that, of course, ends up giving them the makeover. By the way, I never pointed this out in the section. This is kind of BFPO hardcore with the way that the mouths and eyes, you see they have a mild tint of the object's color to it. BFPR takes it to a way bigger extreme, but like this does it subtly. Milo used to be the lead singer for a well-known band. The music still plays on the radio. After an injury caused him to lose an eye, he was dropped from the record label for not fitting the aesthetic. He now lives off of the revenue from the band, where he leaves the house as a stay-at-home parent, living with his ex-wife Rachel, and their 7-year-old daughter Birdie. We don't get to see Birdie at all. They don't even have a page. That's interesting. Is after Mixer Twister. Let's go. Mixer Twister. Shout out to Twow. Friends. Milo is Disco's manager. He often gives the insight on how to navigate the industry. As he has to shift his father figure. Ex-wife, they still live together. He's still very much in love with her. Oh. Okay. Mike acquaintance. Rachel and Milo split up mostly due to disagreements on what to do after Milo withdrew from the band. Milo wanted to move across the country, while Rachel insisted they stay put and live off the royalties from his music. So he proceeded to, hold on, they split up just to have him stay anyway? What's the point of that? So they proceeded to break up so that they can go their own separate paths, and they just end up staying here anyways. Huh? Okay. He was the singer in an experimental jazz and rock fusion band called Love Bomb. He was the face of the band and received a lot of attention. One night, he got into an altercation with a fan, causing him to lose an eye. The record label dropped him. Do we upload? Oh, you do have a... Okay, you have a page that doesn't work. All right, look, this website needs a little bit of work. Okay, we're mostly getting there, you know. All right. Hello, Rachel. Rachel is a detective for Gillsburg. She's been in the police force for many years and wants to be known as one of the best detectives, but he's always seemed to be left in shifty shadow. Are you sure about that? Rachel always puts her family first. She has a 7-year-old daughter. Richard didn't grow up in a 2-parent household, so he stayed with Mallow to ensure Birdie could have that. Who is Birdie? Why do we not get to see? I feel like is Birdie important? I feel like the fact that Birdie is the only character that gets mentioned multiple times and doesn't have a name, and doesn't have a page, makes her important, right? Because she's the only thing that's different. She resents Milo for ruining his career, originally believing they would both be set for life and live out their dreams. Fortunately, reality hit, and there's nothing either of them could do about it. Shifty friend to Milo, ex-husband, they still live together. She's ready to move on, but is staying for the sake of her child. Patho's co-worker. Friends. Okay, I see what's happening. Dude, Pathos, I'm... Like, now that I'm reading this, I feel like Patho is about to break down everything. She met Milo at one of his concerts when his band was just starting up. Though she was not a fan of Milo or his music, she found him quite charming. Rachel later introduced Shifty and Milo to each other. Okay. Then we have the fellas of the gang that we don't exactly get to see. Gretel is a member of the Bristles gang. She's cunning. It's not that word. And competitive. February 14th... Dude, these people... Hold on. Hold on a minute. Why? What? Is this? I'm confused. How does this happen? I mean, like, okay, here's... Okay, I think I understand what the theory is. Is that because of the way that object get formed or whatever, the pregnancy isn't a thing, so you just do it, right? And then you have the kid right there, right? At least from what I understood, right? You combine the souls and it makes a baby, right? So that means that, like, you don't need to do it. So I guess since everything's around Valentine's Day, the most common birthdays are Valentine's Day, because that's when people get together the most. Is that the idea? That's when people fall the most in love, and therefore the love can get extracted from their souls or whatever. I think that's the idea. Quetz is the only one in the gang who could legitimately use a gun. She considers herself a tomboy, loves to mix masculine and feminine fashion. Okay, that's interesting. Relationships, gang leader, close acquaintance. Do you have a page? You do have a page. Trivia coming soon. Okay, cool. All right, yeah, these are the fellas. Then we have Mac, 18 years old, agender. Ooh, play money, jobless. Mac is the youngest member of Bristol's gang and the newest. They're extremely timid and very expressive. Interesting combination. After being bullied for years on end in school, Mac wanted to find a way to prove they're not easy to push around. They're invited to Brittle's gang by Gretel. Interesting. Trivia, does not speak. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things about this character. Their alias is M. Okay, this guy looks like he would. This fella looks like they would be cool. So yeah, we'll go. Yeah. Ella. Okay, so this is the page I got linked wrong. This is apparently the boyfriend of Bristles, right? So. Yeah, umbrella, occupation, jobless, nepo baby. Okay, you have a voice actor. That's interesting. Really? Are you from a short? No, you don't appear in anything. Okay, why are you listed? Whatever. Ella is the daughter of a big oil company owner. Her parents make millions of dollars and give a weekly stipend. She prefers to live a fast and thrilling life, and being involved in the gang is one of the ways she gets her fix. Just to do my behind, sit around. Ella bills Bristles out of jail whenever he's in trouble. Okay, so that's how he gets out. Okay. Bristol's boyfriend. Met Bristol's through a blind dating event. She has Bristol's pay for everything for her. Why? But use their money more important things like investing. Ella's family was always busy when she was younger, never paid her any mind. Ella doesn't have much passion for anything beyond designing, clothing, and jewelry. Whatever. Okay. Pablo, yay. Non-binary. Cassette player. Paul is an audio engineer. He can easily be described as a bro. Brotherhood and loyalty are his peers, everything to him. Thinking of others and looking for us to help in the studio. He's the person everyone goes to when they need to vent. Because of this, Pablo knows a lot about everyone, but he doesn't judge. There's one exception, which is Mike. Mike is aware of what Mike is up to. He doesn't know the full picture and strongly dislikes him. Despite knowing so much, Pablo is exceptionally good at keeping secrets. Because his friend is Steve. They met in college. They've been inseparable ever since. Pablo's always looking out for Steve, reminding him of things and keeping him on track. And Steve tends to be forgetful and easily distracted. Yep. This guy, PFFs. Co-worker dislikes his cockiness, mini boss. Pablo recommended Steve to Guild Star, told Mini that they wouldn't work without their good buddy. Pablo is a cyborg. Let's go. Alright, that's cool. You feel like a guy that's gonna be, this is the type of guy where like Disco is gonna start, kind of getting into it, kind of getting into the game, and then Pablo's gonna go like, yo, don't follow him, and then you're gonna not listen, and then eventually at the end, Pablo's gonna be like, told you so, or whatever, something like that. Here we go, Steve. Steve is a nerd for everything, music and audio related. He loves rock music and producing, but doesn't want to pursue music as a career. That's it. This is the coolest design ever invented. Yeah. Trivia, looks up to Mike the most, thinks he's the best thing since sliced bread. Okay. Alright, I'm glad that they disagree completely. Steve is a robot. Alright. Alright, that's cool. I like how Steve is older than Pablo. I mean, that's interesting. Then we got Minnie, age 42. Damn. Minnie is easygoing. She treats her employees like friends and is very respectful of them. She owes it to employees very much. It was her dream to do radio, but she decided like management role better. Radio doing radio. Yeah, why is it tough? Better than being front and center all the time. Color key. Oh, color keys are like hold on. I just randomly had a remembering about what a color key is. In the color key, like, yo, this is an illustration about how the scene would roughly look like, right? That's like how that looks. Like storyboarder set out the layout of the scene, but it's in black and white, and the color key is kind of, this is how the environment looks like in a generic drawing. That way you can kind of color it based on that. Yeah, I remember. Okay, yeah. Minnie has a college-aged daughter. Don't know her name. Minnie's mother owned Guild Star. Once he retired, Minnie set out to manage. Minnie's father is an artist and designed the logo for the building. Minnie is a cyborg. Okay. This antenna moving is the second coolest design in the world. Then we have these people. So this is Matt. Apparently, work in progress. This definitely said question mark a couple hours ago. This website's getting changes. Yeah, you got some stuff going on. Dislikes Mike. Good friend with Steve. Good friend with Pablo. And best friends with Terry. Yeah, you also don't have anything. You're a journalist, apparently. You also appear in the short. Best friend with Matt. And that's about it. So, we don't get to know too much about them. So, for... do we have the fellas from plot 2? No, that was just everyone. Okay, yeah. Extras, frequently asked questions. So this is the FAQ. Okay, I'm not reading the FAQ, because it's it's answering questions. Come on now. Come on. I don't need to read you. This is not important for the lore. Like, it's not important for the lore, right? But yeah, like at the end of the day, I'm allowed to update the fandom and add the wiki side. I want to work on the show. How to get in contact with the creator? Can get in contact by Twitter. We're like not to respond to Discord DMs. If you want to be active with the fandom, well, if you watch this video, say cheese. I don't know why you would watch this. Nobody should watch this. Nobody should watch this video where I just look around a webpage for an hour. Look, whatever. I don't care. Okay. Sometimes I want to do what I want to do. Okay. This is where 9 episodes of each plot are planned. Apparently got discovered. 9 episodes of each plot. It doesn't feel like a lot, but yeah, I feel like they wanted to do 10 episodes. Yeah, they want to apparently try 10 episodes of each plot, I think. But yeah, they've made over teens and adults. Yep. All right. They got the news. So here, the news. I mean, like, I'm curious. Is there anything else written here? No. Bro, what? What do you mean? The news has no news. Ain't no way. Bro, I'm sorry. Bro, microphone. Okay. Sorry. I that must have been very loud. Dude, the news is no fucking news, bro. Click to read about this update. Proceeds to go to the main page. This is a video. It's breaking news. Okay, whatever. Anyways, these are the socials: YouTube, Discord, Twitter, friggin' Patreon. Oh, Patreon, yeah, sure. But it doesn't work. Are you actually kidding me? Hold on. Does any of this work? Okay, the Etsy works. You're telling me the Patreon. How am I supposed to support you if you don't make your link fucking function? Oh my god. This is DAGFE. Yep, this is the Twitter. We are hard at work finalizing the episode. Indeed. And then YouTube and Discord. Audition forum. This is for people that want to audition. I remember I saw voice acting auditions for this show. I wasn't I'm gonna be honest. I saw voice acting auditions for this show back when they were around. Gonna be 1,000,000% honest. Looking at the quality of the voice actors there, I was not getting in at all. I am not it. I mean, like, hey, I'm just saying, if you're listening to me right now and you think there's a random character, that guy, there's a random guy in the show that about to appear, say 2 lines, and you need a voice actor, I'm just saying, I'm right here, right? I'm just saying. But the quality of the voice actors is excellent. I probably don't think I'm up to stuff. I mean, I'll be up for the chance, but no, I no, it's not. It's too late for that. But either way, love to goof around, so don't have to worry about being super duper professional. Let's go audition if you're good. If you're talented, go try. Right, that's the worst that can happen. This is poses. That's fair enough. I should probably not stay here for too long because this is a drive and this is private stuff. So, recommend a character, another form. You can use it. God damn it, that's the email. I'm gonna need to close it. Contact us. Does this work? Nope, it doesn't. Yeah, the amount of we're currently doing find the unfunctional buttons, and then this is the meet the team at Delango. Again, this is not everybody though, right? Or is it? No, it's not, right? Because for example, hold on, it's Mr. Tweezer here. Let me just say a random name here, like just to see, because Mr. Tweezer in this crew, we know about him. We know 100%. We read it earlier. Mr. Tweezer's in this crew, and they're not here. So, it's not exactly great, is it? This is not exactly great. I would like if they were here. If the people that are in your crew are in the page for the crew. I feel like it's a pretty important page. It was one of the most important pages, debatably speaking. So update it, I guess. Like a lot of the people are talking about. I remember I saw pick build in the friggin' place. They're not here, so I don't. This is one for the update. Did you just call my? Hold on, wait. The links don't work. Oh my god. No, okay. Lock in, dude. What are you doing? None of these links work. None of them. Look at the bottom left of the screen. It just literally directs. None of it works. What the fuck? I mean, look. Making a website is hard, but come on now. Give it a little test. None of them. Not a single link works. No, my god. Okay. Alright, and that is everything that I reasonably know about this website. So yeah. I'll just do the outro here, right? How about this? Shut down the window, capture. That is all for this episode of Object Catchup. It is not shorter in terms of length. However, I really just wanted to check out this website in full. I was thinking about it. I was like, yeah, I could cover other stuff. However, I wouldn't have been able to cover much other stuff. And at the same time, I really wanted to just take in that opportunity to just kind of look at it, and ended up finding stuff like the journal, which I wouldn't have found otherwise, and ended up kind of going on with it. And yeah, this video is not for everybody. This video is just kind of a video. Oh my, fuck. Because I have the mic. I'm sorry. If you're wondering what's going on, it's because I have the microphone on like a stand. But then if I don't lock in the stand enough, it'll just kind of roll itself down and then it hits the keyboard. So yeah, my apologies. But like, yeah, if but other than that, what I've been trying to say is that basically, right, dude, what was I saying? I lost my train of thought completely. Oh yeah, is it like, yeah, no, this video isn't meant for everybody. This video is absolutely just me geeking out. However, look, that's why it's 95.5. I feel like in the 0.5 episodes is when, you know, I kind of go full geek out mode, right? So, as in these episodes, I end up going full geek out mode, kind of like how, you know, how I did the 0.5 episode with BFDA and I talked about it for like 40 minutes. Yeah, this is that. Object Catchup will be returning to regularly scheduled programming in a due time, but look, I want to take this special thing because I want to, okay? At the end of the day, I'm sorry. The main reason is I want to do it, alright? So, my apologies, right, for wanting to do a thing, alright? That is all for this show. I'm very happy to have taken the deep dive onto it. I'm really excited about it, and yeah, see you next time. Goodbye.